weather is so beautiful right now, and I've decided it's time to start gardening, but I don't have any gardening gloves. So I have an old t-shirt laying around the house, and we're gonna make a pattern out of our hand and a piece of paper, and then we're gonna cut them out, sew them up, and start gardening. The supplies for this project are super simple. You're going to need a piece of paper so we can make our pattern. You're also going to need a rotary cutter or a pair of scissors. You're also going to need a seam ripper and a pen or pencil, and I prefer a 2-inch clear ruler. So the first thing we need to do is create our pattern. So grab your piece of paper and your left hand and go ahead and place it on the piece of paper. And hold your hand open really, really wide. And I want you to go ahead and take your pen or your pencil and just trace all the way around the outside of your hand. It's kind of when you were in kindergarten, you made a turkey. Remember that? Tracing your hand, putting feathers on it. Okay, so now you should have a hand that looks something like that. But we also need to add seam allowance, so that's where our 2-inch clear ruler is gonna come in handy. You wanna grab your 2-inch clear ruler, and we want to put a 1/4-inch seam allowance all the way around the outside. So let's go ahead and line up a 1/4 of an inch on the ruler and draw a 1/4 of an inch all the way around. Voila! We have a 1/4 of an inch all the way around the outside of the hand. But that's not it. We also need to extend our glove so that way it comes down on our arm a bit. So you want to add an extra 2 inches at the very bottom of the glove. So just take your 2-inch ruler and line it up where the wrist was and draw down. Okay, so now it should look something like that. Next, you want to grab your paper scissors and let's cut out our pattern. There we go. Your pattern should look something like this. Now what you want to do is grab your t-shirt and lay it down on your mat so it's nice and flat. So I have it with 2 layers. So we've got our top layer of the t-shirt and our back layer of the t-shirt. And we want to go ahead and take our pattern and lay it on the shirt. Now we want to make sure that the stretch is going across the hand. So that way it's nice and comfortable and has some give when we're wearing it. Also make sure at the bottom of your shirt that both layers are actually there. So this shirt actually dips down in the front a bit, so I have to be careful where I'm placing my pattern. And when you have your pattern right where you want it, grab your weights, go ahead and weight it or pin it, and let's cut it out. Now that we have the gloves cut out, all we need to do is sew them together. Today I'm going to be using the Husqvarna Viking Opal 670. So the first thing you want to do is make sure you take your gloves and place them right sides together. If you like, you can pin them together or clip them. You also want to make sure that you have your sewing machine set to stretch light or stretch medium depending on the fabric you're using. Also, make sure you have the correct stitch selected. So I'm going to be using the lightning bolt stitch, which is number 1, 2. So it looks like a little lightning bolt. So this is going to allow the fabric to stretch a little bit more than it normally would with just a straight stitch, because we don't want our stitches to pop. So let's go ahead and sew our glove together. Remember, you have a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And make sure you backstitch. And you just want to follow the edge of your glove all the way around. Now that your glove is finished, what you need to do is go ahead and clip your points and your curves. So we want to make sure that when we turn it right side out, it's laying nice and smooth. So where the fingers are and the webs right here, we want to make sure we clip in there. And then we also want to clip at the curve of the finger, which is going to be at the very top up here. So go ahead, you can either cut down the seam allowance in half, or you can actually go ahead and clip into it. I suggest cutting away half of the seam allowance, so that way those little small areas that are curved aren't going to be super bulky. And if you have any threads, go ahead and cut all the threads off as well. Okay, so after you've done that, moment of truth, let's go ahead and turn it right side out. You might need to use a sushi stick or something to push out these fingers. I know my knit here is pretty thick, so it's having a hard time turning right side out. So we did it. We have it right side out. We now have one garden glove. So it's time to cut and sew some more out. Moment of truth, let's go ahead and try it on. There we go. Looks like I'll be gardening this evening. Thanks so much for watching Sew Anastasia today. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below and I will get back with you as soon as I can. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.